Hello and welcome to another video. I'm here with Kirby and we are discussing Phaeacia tips and tricks. Um,
Hello.
yes. And so we're just gonna, sort of go through some of the cool Phaeacia strategies in sort of a general sense. We'll probably look at the ones that are specific to my game in either later in this video or in the next video, depending on timing.
There's certainly a lot that you can go through.
Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and start and just research everything. I think.
And you can recruit a couple of guys too for your nation,
Fair enough.
because then you can see what kind of options that you have. Well, mostly the mages.
Yeah.
The troops are fun for expansion and early wars, but uh, yeah, it sort of made the troops fall off at a certain
The
point.
truth, they are, yeah, they do fall off eventually. All
Well,
right.
what I mean to say is that they basically wind up being the linebackers and not the main damage dealers, in my experience.
Sure, sure. Okay, just about got everything researched here. I don't know that we really need to get into blood. um,
Probably not, but you can do it
you
with
can do it with the
a
cares,
very roundabout way, or if you have a pretender.
or yeah, I think I don't remember if I think my pretender doesn't have any blood. But okay, I think we've got everybody researched. All of our dudes are made, and all of our stuff is researched. So, where do we want to start?
Well, put on repeat for a couple turns some weavers, just some weavers,
Yeah, good
because those
idea.
are the ones you're gonna have the most of.
Yes, and that's certainly what I have the most of in my game. Unless I had a reason to make somebody else, or it was the capital, I guess, where I was making the princes. I was pretty much just
Yeah,
on straight weavers.
yeah, you'll be using those a lot.
They are pretty darn nice. Great paths. They all get in communions. They're giant, or not giants, but colossi, so they're bigger. They're not going to get blown over by a strong breeze the way human mages will. A
Yep.
forge bonus. Um, I don't remember how many nations have a forge bonus, but it's not very many.
It's a handful per age, yeah.
But definitely comes in handy. Um, okay, so do you want to? Are we going to do like early game or mid game? I'm not sure how to. Not sure what the best sort of
Well,
approach
I would
is.
say I would just do like I would go over basically from my experience, sort of like all of the possible things that you could
Okay,
do.
okay,
And because there's a lot that sort of is a little bit niche, just because not every nation has these kind of wide and also very strong paths.
yep.
You actually can see you got kind of lucky with double double prince consorts that have air four.
That's just and the same name.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean Air Four on a recruitable mage is insane. Um,
yeah,
I think I had on the current turn, I'd given him storm in a bottle. I was like, living clouds, just have at it.
yep.
Um,
For sure.
But yeah, so I mean, Air Four is gonna. I guess let's go. Maybe it's easier to look at it through him. Air Four is Living Clouds right out of the box, or he can do Air Elementals at slightly reduced fatigue because he outlevels them. Um,
The classic is, of course, Storm, which then gives everybody the option for Storm power into Lightning Bolts or Thunderstrike.
yep. Yes, that is a really strong early option. Oh yeah, I forgot. I think because of the way I have this on, it doesn't say what level anything is. Um, just has them all at level 0. But he's also going to be able to in a bigger army cast all your big air buffs you need, even if he sometimes needs a little help, like fog warriors,
Yeah,
um, and things like. I mean, you could cast Wrath of Skies if you wanted to. Storm, obviously, we already mentioned. Mass Flight, Arrow
yeah.
Fend.
And so Mass Flight, Fog Warriors, those are things that the Air Force can cast turn one if you're willing to spend the gems and sort of eat up the fatigue. Um,
Yes.
they could do it even better if you gave him the air helmet, because
Hmm.
they can make them just automatically, which is huge for air nations specifically, because air is one of the, if not the hardest path to boost. If
Yeah,
you don't have Air 4, then you're just
you're
not
not gonna
going.
get it.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Um, yeah, I think I have like one or two helmets kicking around, maybe. But yeah, you can definitely then help. And again, with something like a storm in a bottle, you can eat up some of that gem cost and
Yeah.
keep those armies moving, um, and not gem bait as vulnerable to gem baits. But yeah, huge. I guess I could click on A and we could just see all the air. Fog Warrior is tremendously strong spell um, for your army in the late game.
And as Phaeacia, just because of the massive diversity that you have, you can always be doing these kinds of things with a Weaver stack as well.
Yep.
But just being able to have an Air 4 in your stack can save on the time for both communioning up, and also the fatigue that it puts into the communion. You sort of distribute it individually to one mage
Yes.
instead of all of the rest of them, and then the communion can be used to do things like evo spam or stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, especially things like Thunderfend turn one to get out in front of
Yeah, that's huge.
any of that. I still want to see what the spell actually does. I think it'd be hilarious to chuck it at an entire legion of those Hellet archers um on turn one and just watch them evaporate. Um but yeah, so that's just the air, right? The princes also have access to fire, water, and earth. I think water is their next best. Yeah. And then they can sometimes have two fire, sometimes three water. And earth is kind of a side path for them. They can do earth power, right, if you gave them a gem, but you have a lot of other better ways to do in combat earth.
Yeah, but Earth Air crosspath is good for a lot of different reasons. You can already do a lot of things with forging with Earth Air.
Mm-hmm.
The Weavers can do that, and they can do it cheaper, but there that is an option. And then in combat, you get the flying shield, which is really good.
Uh-huh.
Um, so you can definitely use prince consorts for thugging and things like that,
Uh-huh.
if you're willing to bulk them up with some gear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Rain of
Rain
Stones,
of
of
Stones
course,
is in here
classic.
too.
Rain of Stones really has
Tough one for
been
him
taking
though.
the nerf bat, but I have actually, funnily enough, I actually used Rain of Stones in that sort of Phaeacia sub game that I did,
Oh, nice.
because, well, first of all, I subbed, so I'm already going to be doing different things than the players expect.
Sure.
But once they're not prepared for it, you just drop Cloud Trapeze, Rain of Stones on somebody. Uh, they're not prepared for it, you're going to do at least one army wipe, which can be pivotal.
Yes. Yeah, a big part of Dominion sometimes something only needs to work once if you're ready to have the follow up necessary. Um,
Yeah, it
'Cause-
was really strong on a Bronze Colossus because they have earth and air just naturally. Plus, they're just going to shrug off the stones bouncing off of their
yeah,
heads,
they're made of bronze.
and then they just Cloud Trapeze in, and Rain of Stones an army, and it's gone.
Ah, that's hilarious. Very funny. And I think water fire also gives you some the acid spells if
But
you
yeah,
potentially
all of the
wanted
acid
those.
spells are really good, and if you can sort of prepare your army in advance, you can make your own troops immune to an acid storm, for example, and also do that kind of thing where the player you're targeting wouldn't necessarily expect it. One
Right.
of the things I actually had years ago happen to me is I subbed in for a Nazca that had
Ooh.
massive stacks of Supaya just everywhere, and people were really struggling to kill them. But all of a sudden, just one Yis player empowered a troll king, sea
Sea
troll
King?
king in fire, yeah, and would just acid storm every battle, and all of my Sapaya were just melting because they had their main defense was body was that they were
Etherealness,
ethereal
right?
with
Yeah.
no protection, and so they just dissolved
Ooh.
hundreds of Sapaya just gone
Oh my god,
in like 5 turns.
that's disgusting. How do you make yourself immune to acid storm or
It's
resistant?
basically it's small damage. So you want to have yeah, it's 4 AP acid damage, which is AP not armor penetration, not armor negating. So you really want to have large protection stacked with regen, and then you can
Sure,
pretty much get through it.
shrug it off. Okay,
Especially with and then large HP pool, so it actually works pretty well
the colossi.
with colossi and
Yeah,
giants in general, especially the larger ones. So you give basically a bunch of your mages armor. It wouldn't really work with, for example, death ball of weavers, because
right.
then
They
you'd have
would
to give
melt.
every single one of them armor, unless you do something like army of gold or something like that. So but with if you have a large stack of your uh, colossi light infantry or heavy infantry, or even the orichalcum guard, and then you give mass regen, and then you cast that, you can be pretty much immune to it on your end.
Got it. Got it. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, you're shrugging it all off. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. There's so many. There's a lot of spells and dominions, and there's in various contexts. All of these things can be uh, super helpful. Grip of Winter could be helpful in the right context.
Yeah, you can pair up Grip of Winter with Frostfend, and that'll make
Hmm.
your own troops not fatigue out to it. Pretty good.
You can get Hesperides or other nature too to put up relief.
Yep, relief for sure. And then for other things that you want to consider is always both the spells but also the items. So for
Sure. Let's go to the forging
fire,
menu.
water, the kinds of things that you can forge um, are, well, for unique artifacts you can make ember. That's always a fun one because it's that one. Yeah, it's fire, cold resist, innate, and then you've
Mhm.
got double AOE splash
Ah,
effects.
neat.
So that's a really fun sort of artifact to have. But obviously, the biggest one is Rune Smashers,
Yep.
because that gives you a handheld penetration gear, single hand weapon, which means you can carry a shield with it. And I think I was telling you earlier that if you were able to give um, well, for example, you can do Rune Smashers and then like a shield for your communion masters. But if you do Coral Blade and
Yes.
a shield with your communion slaves,
Mhm.
then they get boosted HP for the weavers. And if you don't really even need that much, because weavers have, I believe, 19 HP. So
Mhm.
you just need 1 HP boost, and then they're ticking 2 regen a turn instead of one. So
Right.
yeah.
Now, and I don't remember. I have I know for this space in general. I know I have larger on them, and you can give them a shroud for extra HP as well. 30% on the 19, then they get the extra 8. Um,
Yep. That can maybe be bringing them up
yeah,
to
I'd have to check if it gets them to
30.
3 or
Yeah, I'm not
not.
sure off the top of my head.
Because it should be like +6 or something. 6. I don't know how the Dominion's rounding works. For the larger, because I think it's 30%, and then you put another 8 on, so it should get you to 30.
Yep.
Trying to remember if there's other cool
Oh
uh,
yeah. So that
winged helmets.
there's the winged helmets. The in the two-handed weapons, another really powerful but underused weapon is that rhyme smasher, the hammer. That would be air and water crosspath,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of the thing, is water air crosspath is a lot rarer than you think outside of, for example, the Kalem nations.
Right.
Um, so people aren't really expecting it, but that's an area of effect, area 3, lingering 2, um, armor
Prison mist.
negating
Yeah.
cold damage. That is like an elf deleter. Um, if they don't have cold resist, which a lot of times they won't, because they're like, I want to stack defense and I'll
Yes.
just pretend that
Skimp
cold
on it.
damage doesn't exist. And then suddenly a rhyme hammer smash shows up and they're all dead.
It's much easier to pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, this is
Um,
basically a handheld falling frost, just that you
yeah,
bring
yeah,
into combat.
it's cool. I've never used it. I have to try and work that in. Let's see. I don't know. These guys. I don't think any of these shields are relevant. I don't know. This is working right. Shouldn't there be? There ought to be
Yeah,
some
they're
shields.
it's the same as the magic. They're all in the same space, except for a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, all the artifacts are there in the trinkets section too. The mod is a little wanky.
it's yeah. It's a little goofy. But yeah, we talked about a little bit. The winged helmet is tremendous. It gets you up to Air 5. And then you can pair that with the bag of winds to go up to Air 6, which
Yep,
very
very
difficult for
strong.
people to do. Um,
Air 7 if you put them on a queen of air.
yes, Air 8 with a staff, an elemental staff.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, you have better air access than quite a lot of people. Um, Caleb is perhaps accepted, but don't know if there's anything you can make the robe of the sea on some of the randoms to get you to water 4.
Yep.
And then at Conjuration 6, Water Bracelet puts you to Water 5, and then you can do Queens.
Yep.
Or you can do. I guess I didn't mention it. We were going through our little review, but I did that and an Elemental Staff and put up Maelstrom.
Yeah, nice.
Because I thought that was like a not a juke per se, but something that other people weren't going to be immediately going after. And it's hard for like Pelagia could contest me, but I didn't think that he was going to go Evocation, right? Because that seems like a weird choice for a Pelagia who's won his Pond War.
Yeah.
Um, and nobody else, you have to have the water gems, and you have to have the caster, and you have to be in the water. Um,
And it's
I,
just such a great
it's so
gem
many gems,
global. Yeah, it's so many.
so I thought that was kind of a fun, again, not necessarily a juke, but just a slight alternate path. Anything else for items?
Well, the usual thug gear, armor of
Sure.
displacement, really good. Copper plate if you're expecting a lot of air evocations, stuff like that.
Mhm.
For a body slot, you can't go too badly with the uh, dragon armors because they give you morale for protecting against things like wailing winds and stuff like that.
Sure.
Morale plays.
Sure.
And the same with the helmets is the fire helmet that everybody talks about, the dragon
Yes.
helmet. Yeah.
Everybody loves the dragon helmet.
Another very good thug gear is the spirit helmet right there next to the winged helmet, which gives free lightning bolts every
Hmm.
turn.
Everybody loves lightning bolts and 20 protection. That's
It's
what
pretty
is
good.
that's just air, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive, but if you've got the spare gems, it can make a very strong thug for outputting damage.
Yeah. I'm always I thugs are not a good part of my game yet. I'm just so afraid of setting them out there and then having them get murdered by remotes or like mine hunted, or have somebody cloud trapeze back on top of them. Or I sent my mail card into a bunch of air guys thinking I would be okay, and it turned out they also had water and frozen hearted him to death.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's it feels like a really good way when you don't know what you're doing to lose a lot of stuff really
yeah, for
fast.
sure.
But I definitely need to work on. I know it's a part of my game that I need to work on. The Weavers also have a unique item for Phaeacia that
Yeah, the body. Yeah,
the
they've got two of them. There's another one.
yeah,
I think that's water, and actually, you probably get it with the
yeah, here it is.
queen. Yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, those are really good. I've actually honestly used those as thug gear themselves too,
Ha,
especially that one because no, not that one, the other one,
the other one.
because it gives defense skill.
Mm-hmm.
So then your main
Stack
defense, like
defense.
you make a couple of these and you put them on a storm captain, then they become, instead of a protection being their main defense, then defense is their main defense, and you swap out their shield for some other better shield.
Sure.
Because if you look at their armor, it gives
Minus
-3
3.
overall defense. Yeah. So you swap those out, you can get really, really high defense stacking. And then you pair that with quickness, which they can quicken self,
Mm-hmm.
and misform, and they're
They're
great.
up there.
Good to go.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I just started. I made a couple. I think I made a bunch of these. I don't know that I made too many of these, but I was just throwing these on important casters.
Those are really, really good. And they're super cheap too. I mean, if you've
Yeah.
got the gems, especially in the steel ovens, for example, you could
Yes.
get those for like 2 gems.
I was. It actually. Yeah. The steel ovens makes them too. Even without the steel ovens, if you have a hammer, a
Yeah.
dwarven hammer, it's two. Um, I
But yeah,
was
those are all good stats.
Yes, no, everything here is good. I was very sad to find out that my dwarven hammer, steel ovens, and forge bonus didn't all stack together to make one gem items.
Yeah,
Um,
well, once it's two, well, for these ones specifically, once you have two different types of gems, you can only get down to one of each.
yeah, even on single type stuff, just the way it
Yeah.
rounded, it didn't let me go down to one. Um, very very put out. But the other national Phaeacia item is the Windcatcher Sail.
Yeah, it's probably not going to come up super much in your game, but
No,
it
I thought
can
about making one.
it can vastly increase your mobility in specific situations.
Yeah, there's. I'd have to go back and count. There's definitely some of my forts you can't sail to, like the east, west, and north, south can't sail to each other.
Got it.
Um, I don't remember if this would be enough to get them there or not. It's not quite as relevant now as if I'd sort of gotten around to it sooner. But I'm trying to think if there's is that and then is that all Facia's unique items? You have the apple, but that's not an item that shows up
Right.
here.
Yeah, it's not a forgeable one.
I did summon him. I don't think I've gotten any apples yet though.
It's annual, so it'll be at that same time you get the Gigantes.
Yeah, I'll have to look for it because I got some of those old Earth Astral mages. Go feed them an apple. Because it makes you younger, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
cuts a couple years off if you are old age. It actually took me a long time to figure out if it did anything because I kept putting it on mages and it would just sit there and be like,
Ah,
"Where's the use apple button?"
yeah. Yes, I found. Oh, that's funny. It's sort of similar. There's another pair of boots that look just like Earth boots. Like
Yeah, the is
like
it
boots of
the
unaging or something.
boots of youth? Yeah, those are
Boots of
Bloodforge. Yeah,
Yeah, because I got one, and every time I'm looking through my items, oh yeah, here I'm like, oh,
yeah,
there's my earth boots. Let's go get this. Let's go put them on. I'm
right.
like, nope. Yeah, they're blood. I should actually probably give these to somebody. Reinvigoration 3. I think I just have somebody chilling on them like they're fancy shoes. Um, but yeah, so cheap. You get cheap items as Phaeacia. If your weavers are making them, you get a nice forge bonus discount. You don't have good access to hammers though, unless you take it on a pretender or find it, because you're the only way you can get Earth 2 is on your consorts, and it's like less than 1%.
Yeah, that can be a bit troublesome for sure.
Um,
And then that also slows you on crystal gear kind of stuff as well.
yes. Yep.
So you either wait and hope you get a Earth 2 random, which is very unlikely,
Yeah.
or you just suck it up and empower one of your weavers to be Earth
Yes.
2, and then you can make crystal gear from them, Earth boots, and etc.
Yep. Yep.
Hammers.
And I think I decided to deal with that on pretender design. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, definitely there's some other options as well. I feel like I see Earth Astral Adepts like all the time, but maybe I have some kind of bias.
Now that'll happen a lot too.
Okay. I think those are mostly the items, right?
Yeah, so for spells, you're certainly going to be thinking a lot about what you're going to be using your weavers for. And I think I was talking with you as far as um, what a weaver death ball looks like.
Little bit,
So
yeah.
if we pick up like all your weavers, for example, and then say expand them into one of those indie provinces there.
We got
Um,
ghouls, we got militia.
yeah, the militia is probably fine, but you even just like raiding with a weaver ball or something like that, you'd probably want them to have bodyguards,
Right.
um, and just any old people on guard commander, because the weavers are going to be killing everything by themselves. So the
Yes.
troops are there both to guard commander and then also for the siege strength if you pop them on a fort, for example.
Sure, yeah. Because you can with Fisher, you can also summon up a lot of troops in
Yeah,
combat as needed.
yeah. So for starters, let's go ahead and look at some of the stuff you can summon. So for example, all of the
Yeah.
elementals, obviously, earth,
Yes.
fire, air, and water, or ice
Yep.
if you are in cold.
Sure.
Um, Another thing that you can do with the fire randoms is will-o-wisps, which are actually can be pretty strong. So you get 2 per cast. It's a lot cheaper in terms of fatigue than
Hmm.
large size fire elemental because it's a fire 1 spell.
Sure.
And the will-o-wisps have actually really high defense and are ethereal, which against PD is going to mean that they're just going to never get
Never
hit.
die. Yeah.
And that's the point. That's what they're there for, is to never die while everything around them dies because the weavers are killing them. So,
Sure. Huh.
and not only that, but they spawned like wolves on the edges of the map. So then it messes with the enemy
AI.
target's scripting for mages because they'll be like shooting lightning bolts at their own back line and stuff like that. So
Always hilarious.
yeah, that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
to incorporate that.
And then the other big thing that Phaeacia specifically can do, as well as a lot of other Mediterranean themed nations, is the summon Spartai for with the Earth
Yes.
Weaver. Yeah,
Maybe the Earth one.
and those are actually really strong as well. So Dragon Teeth, you get 10 of them, and they're pretty tanky because they've got a lot of protection. They've got a long spear and a shield, and then I think they have a
Magical
couple
as
of.
well.
What's that?
The spear is magical, I believe, too.
Oh yeah. And I think that they have a couple of elemental resists, but I don't remember off the top
Well,
of
we
my
can
head.
we can summon some.
Yeah, you can certainly throw them into a battle, and
Yeah, let's get an Earth Boots and not a Boots of Youth. Now you could also obviously solve this by doing a communion, but this is slightly easier for the purposes of demonstration. How much fatigue does that cost? It's a gem, so it's at least 100 or whatever. 100.
yeah, you could do Earth Power.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Make a couple.
Good point. Give you some gems. And let's take some actual
That'll yeah,
bodyguards.
that'll probably work honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I love when my bodyguards stand behind the person they're guarding and someone just walks up and kills them. I'm like, thanks, guys.
Oh, should have maybe done Air Shield in
Maybe should have
case you.
done air shield.
So
But
yeah, and they're inanimate, but they don't count as undead, which can be pretty significant for things like if you do um, what you call it,
yeah,
uh,
the various undead hate
Ravenous
spells.
Swarm. Yeah, Ravenous
Yes.
Swarm will be really good against going against like an undead nation because then it won't hurt your own guys.
Right. Yeah, so these guys are 13 attack, which is not super great per se, but 19 protection. They've got all magic gear, a magic weapon, very cold resistant, very poison resistant. Um, obviously they don't heal, but it doesn't matter because they go away anyway. They have spirit sight and formation fighter. Um, I don't. Can they break? They have 19 morale.
They can, but
Okay,
it's less likely.
sure. MR is fine. Um, hit points aren't like super high
A
either,
lot
but
of things won't target them because they're inanimate too.
sure. Yeah, they don't have as many weaknesses there. Um, and this is a length 3 weapon,
Yeah, that's good.
so you can definitely get some repels and stuff. I'm just waiting for us to get shot with an arrow here. You've never lived a Baratos expansion until you watch your priest get hit with an arrow in the head,
Right.
leading your party. Oh boy, here
That
come
is
the
a gift
here
for
come the
heaven.
gifts. Also, a great spell that you have access to. A little danger close here.
Yeah, but they're all summons chaff, so you
Right,
don't
so it
care.
doesn't matter. At this point, we've already
That's
spent them.
exactly what this strategy is supposed to be doing. Is
Yes.
you summon a bunch of random crap that just ties them up, and then the weavers kill them all.
Yep. And they
So the earth randoms can
all
obviously
misses.
do gifts from heaven. That's a huge one. Another thing that Earth threes can do is Maws of the Earth, which is
Mm,
massive,
that's a
massive
big one.
for both the AOE. But Maws of the Earth is a little bit short range, which is why it can be really good to have um, either a range um, range booster item, so like
Mm-hmm.
the crystal ball, for example, or a what else?
Crystal. Which one's the crystal ball? Oh, no,
That
arcane.
one, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
arcane
Which
lens.
again, yeah, is just astral arcane lens. Yeah, yeah. I call it the crystal ball,
No,
but
no, you're good. I just couldn't remember what it
one
was.
thing, and I was telling you because one of the things you can do with gear wise is give her the uh, shield of valor because that's doubles
Hmm.
on the air shield, and is also a shield because it's which is really good because um, that'll help against missiles. Yeah, arrow,
Yes.
archer fire and stuff.
How much fatigue does it have? Or encumbrance? Oh, only one. Okay. Yes,
So
make
more
her
than
a
zero, which is
little
not
more
great.
protected.
Yeah,
Send her in over here. Let's see if we can moz some people down. I wouldn't, recommend trying to take these out with specifically moz, but
yeah,
let's see, it could work anyway. All right, she's going for it. Kind of a miss there.
yeah. Not particularly accurate.
Yeah. Well, this is not exactly its intended use case.
But on the plus side, some of the things you can do with Phaeacia because you have air is aim, wind guide, stuff
Yes.
like that, and that'll
No, they
help your
routed.
battle. They routed already. Yeah. Hey, little earth
There we
elemental.
go. All right. Yeah, no, for sure. You can throw up wind guide uh, and really pump out a lot of very high precision evocations. I have as bit of a meme, but I've got some precision in my bless in my game.
It's good. It's good for things like lightning bolt, thunderstrike. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. So and then obviously because you have a communion, right? All the big battlefield spells, if it's important enough to you, and it's air, earth, fire, water, astral, you can put it on your guys. Um, you can paint will the fates, doom.
Yeah,
Um,
all the battlefield wide ones, but also I think I was telling you you can just
stellar fire maybe.
do linebacker communion slaves and have
Mm-hmm.
them super super tanky. Um, you can get things like fire shield is a caster self,
Mm-hmm.
um, astral shield is caster self, and you just put like a line of weaver communion slaves that are all just buffed up, and they'll just stand there being punched at while the Weaver Masters are
Doing
evoing
stuff.
everything around them.
That's pretty hilarious. Um, nobody feels good losing to that strategy. It's
Yeah,
like they just stab them. They're wearing
yeah,
dresses. Come on, people. What do you think of so as a random we'll get to the, I guess, the other spells, the non-combat spells in a second. I'll hold my tongue on the summoned communion slaves, the Keladones or whatever.
Yeah, they're not mobile enough to be particularly useful.
Right, they're kind of
They're a
the
lot
very
of
last
fun
minute.
in theory, but because their only use case is if you are being attacked in a lab,
Right,
then and if it's a fort, then you have to be patrolling with them and in advance of them going on top of your fort. Either that or you're inside the fort and getting stormed. But
right.
yeah,
Put a wall of them up front.
not super great. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Are there any? I'm trying to think if there's any other. You have. I mean, you have a lot of the cross paths, so you can pull off any of the elemental cross path stuff. I think
Yeah.
you have all of them.
Plus a lot of those kind of unique crosspaths, like we were saying, that often Calum only has something
Yeah.
like uh, falling frost with water, but that's not a crosspath. But like freezing mist
Freezing
is a good
mist.
one.
Yeah.
Air water, yeah, that's because that's a lingering spell.
Yes.
You've also got sulfur haze. Sulfur haze is great,
Silver
and
Haze
you
is a big
usually
one.
assume like coming out of Ubar or something like that. But it's another one of those cloud spells, really, really strong. If they don't
Yes.
have the um, elemental resistance to it. Another one that's gotten buffed recently is Astral Fires, Fire and
Yes, it did.
Astral. Very, very, very strong because it's 100% precision AoE spell. And it's MR negates, but the bigger your communion, the less you care about that.
Right. Right. Where is that spell? Let's see.
It should be
Is it evocation? Right.
Astral. There
Astral
it is.
Fires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically an AoE mind burn. Um, armor negating damage, not armor penetration.
Yeah.
So it's not typed damage, so there's no elemental resistances that'll protect against it. If you throw on a bunch of penetration gear on your fire randoms, then they will be deleting squares, area of effect 4 squares.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah,
that can
and
be a lot.
there's not too many nations I feel like that get to also use this, like EA Airmore. I
Yeah,
think uh,
Marignon can do it.
Marignon.
Yeah,
But you just have
Nazca
you have a
could
lot of
do
fun
it.
cross paths.
Yeah,
And Nazca can do everything.
yeah,
Maybe not quite everything, but a lot of stuff. But certainly Phaeacia no slouch when it comes to awesome cross paths. Um, I don't know. So I mostly went princes. I didn't make. I think I've only made like one queen. Um, it just seemed I liked the way the prince was sort of. I mean, this right. This is 6 magic paths, and the prince is 2. But just having that higher start and not being vulnerable to like a mind hunt, or not mind hunt,
yeah,
but magic duel.
yeah. And the princes do have that path that you really want for the important air evos,
Yeah.
storm, and stuff like that. I think they're both good, and I've used both of them. I probably would be in your camp where I would have mostly princes, but the couple of things that you can do with queens are, for example, priest and
Yep.
communions.
Yep.
So you boosting your priest path. Um, they are astral one. I think you can get astral 2 or 3. Like I think the one you have at astral 2, but you're not super worried about my magic duel just because you're
You
only
have
going
so
to
many
be using them
weavers.
in communions anyways.
That's true.
So it's a danger, but it's less of a danger on that front.
That's fair.
Um, and yeah, so they're basically buffed weavers, and that's kind of how I would use them. Is um, that same kind of thing. I don't think they have fire as a thing. Is Oh no, they
They can get
do. Okay,
fire.
so they don't have earth.
They don't have
Is
Earth. Yeah.
got it? Yeah. Okay, it was one of those. I couldn't remember which.
Yes. They trade
But
out Astral for it.
so yeah, there are uses for them, but I'd probably still wind up having more princes in general.
Yes, I think that clearly from the flavor text here, the brides in waiting never should have abandoned their blood magic. Should have held on to that for the nation.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as Baratos was the first nation I won with, so Phaeacia, it's definitely a natural one for me to want to try. Keep moving through the line. We need a late age Phaeacia. Somebody to keep it going.
That'd be cool.
Um,
I
but
think Phaeacia wound up being mixed in with Erythia.
Erythia, I say they're part of it, but they don't feel. I don't know. I don't remember feeling the influence as much. Maybe are the prince and princesses size 3?
I don't recall off the top of my
Okay.
head. Late Age is one of the least played for me.
I've never played one. But and they go insane. Well, that's okay. But yeah, just a ton of magical versatility. The things you're missing in nature, blood, and death, with proper planning, you do have national access to.
Yep, for sure.
In my game, I do not have death on my pretender, um, but there are other ways to get into death if you're lucky. Because
Well, you've got the death income from Asphodel's cap, so you can
I have that, yep.
eventually wait to empower someone if you wanted.
We actually, I went ahead and summoned a troll shaman. I think is that what his name is? Forest troll, the forest troll tribe. Yeah,
Yeah,
I went
Earth,
with,
Death, Nature. Yeah,
and I got a death 2 that way. So I've been site searching,
nice.
and that's enough for cares by itself as well.
Yep. And the other way you could do it is, I think, Cocathaids, which is
Yes.
water. If you were to, where is that?
Oh, I'm going the wrong.
Forget what.
It's water death, I think. Streams from
Yeah.
Hades.
So
Yeah.
actually, that would be super easy because then you could just empower any water mage in death once, and that gets you straight to death 3.
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. Because then death 3 gets you death 4. If you did if you did it on one of the princes, could you then get the with the flaming skull? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you could do that for sure.
And then you're up to death 5, and you're no, not skull of fire.
Oh, it
Well, you
gives
could
you
also
fire.
mix. It would be fire.
Yeah,
It's death 5 is the other death booster.
yeah. Death is the other thing that's kind of hard to
Yeah,
boost
kind of
up
hard
to.
to get in up into. But yeah, sorry, I meant the skull of fire. Now you can also get into you have or well, I guess I had my pretender make the staff, the elemental staff. 'Cause I don't know that you have a super easy way to do it. If you need 2 water boosters and you need to get another fire booster somehow to have just a prince do it.
Yep.
So it's a little tough. Not necessarily impossible, but tough. But yeah, you have national ability to get into the paths you're lacking by the late game as well. Anything big we're missing?
Well, we can go into the
Rituals?
summons. Yeah, some
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
summons that you have access to, and this is really sort of like transitioning into the mid to late game, the kinds of things that you can use to replace your generic troops.
Yes.
And again, because of the way that I would sort of personally play with Weaver death stacks, you could do, I would be focusing on the damage output from the Weavers and then just summoning a bunch of things
Survivability.
that you can do for line holding that
Yeah.
are very tanky and have a bunch of synergies that way as well.
Yes. Okay. Looking at the cast ritual spell with this version of it is not my friend. Oh, it's not better here. All right. The mod is not doing many favors, but I think we talked about where are they? The like manifest vitriol
Yeah, water 2.
is not conjuration, that's why I can't find it.
Oh yeah, it's I think enchantment.
Yeah, I think it's enchantment.
Vile water. Yeah, that one.
Well, so there's Vile Water,
Yeah.
which is the cube, or yeah, that's the cubes.
Yep. Summons one cube, but it's very cheap. It's just expensive on
Ma-
mage turns.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I seem to remember in the tournament game Arco putting cubes to tremendous use.
Very good use. That's his thing. I think I don't know if it's done yet or not, but the mod that they're making to create um, mercs for every tournament winner, the Arco's going to be a giant merc cube.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome. Oh, I do remember. I remember hearing about that because Sai is a dryad or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. The other one we mentioned, so there's Vile Water. Maybe is it like Alteration? Is the Manifest Vitriol,
Yeah.
the Green Lions, because you have
Also
access to
cheap,
that.
but that cross path is kind of hard to get. Water and fire, and because you have it, it can be very good for you to be spamming those.
Yes, I've turned on production. At least a little bit on these. Because yeah, for my game, I have lots of water income at this point. It's by far my best.
Yeah, for sure. And again, so the biggest thing then that holds you back is mage turns. So
Yes.
that's why you want to get them started earlier rather than later, because then sort of mid game you just dumping like a stack of 15 green lions, and it'll surprise somebody.
Yes. Yep. Yep. It also in some way, if you get like research boosters, then the guys who are researching or not don't have one. Doesn't feel quite so bad to have them do stuff like this.
Yep.
Um, anyway, so for the unique spells that Phaeacia's actually, you have Pride of Lions, which I don't envision anybody casting unless you are truly desperate.
Probably wouldn't want to do it that much. Plus,
You
you
also
don't have
don't have
fire.
nature.
Yeah.
It'd be an extremely odd scenario. But the other ones are much better. So the cares are they're like invisible. I think they're like flying invisible.
They are invisible, full invisible.
Yeah.
Very rare, but it's a very strong mechanic for them.
Yes. And so they're powerful units, but also if you go ahead and Gift of Reason them, you'll get Death Blood Mages, which
Yep,
breaks
can
you
be
into
breaking
blood.
you into vampires at some point.
Yes. Now that's a question. So what I had sort of heard or osmosed in like the Discord, right, is that if you're going into blood one of these like late game ways, right, like intensive blood hunting on scouts or binding a bind cares or anything that's not sort of base blood in the nation, is that going for a lot of blood research and like aiming for vampires is sort of asking more of your blood economy than you're probably going to be able to put up if like Cataclysm's on, right? If the game's not going to go forever.
Yeah, you probably won't get there, at least not as easily as a bunch of other blood nations. But I wouldn't be thinking of it in terms of like what it can do that way, so much as just some random battle. You have vampires show up and they do life for life or something like that,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
that can really help
Blow
turn the tide
somebody
or
out.
something. Or yeah,
Well,
you
there's
can do
some.
something like what you call it, the battlefield wide
Yes.
strength buff.
Yep. Yep. That's what I was thinking of that one. Even just throwing rejuvenate into your not rejuvenate, reinvigorate into your
Yeah, and
communions can go a long way.
because yeah, it's going into your communion. You're having a vampire as a death blood, so you
Mm-hmm.
can also do soul vortex then
Yep.
into your communion, which is massive.
Yep. And you can line that up with like trolls or something.
Yep, yep.
Um, yeah. So if you can get there, a lot of really, really great options. But that's definitely more of a late game. That doesn't come online in a hurry.
And you
Um,
probably won't have a lot of them.
Probably yeah. I mean at so what is it 20 gems for Gift of Reason?
Yeah, plus they're only blood death one, so you need to be boosting up a little bit. If
Right.
you can get to construction 8 and grab the book of black secrets, that really saves a lot of time for you.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Uh, the good news is if you can get up to one vampire, though, they do make themselves.
Yep,
with
for
just a
sure.
little bit of help. Next up, the Hesperide is a true. We're gonna just go ahead and cast this one. A true awesome unit, or not unit, but mage.
Yeah, nation defining for you, pretty
I
much.
I lost her. Where did she go? There we
There it is at the top.
go. It's an 8-path mage. It's got nature, which you don't otherwise have access to, and it comes with a pair of cross paths. Although I don't know that nature has a ton of cross path stuff in general.
Nature Astral can do
Winged monkeys.
the wing monkeys, but they can also make the Moonvine bracelet, another
Yes,
major
yes,
booster.
that's
Very
true.
important. Yeah. And
Um,
then Nature Fire can do some really niche things, but I don't think there honestly there's a lot more in something like Dominion's Enhanced mod that you can
sure,
do with Nature
sure,
Fire. Yeah.
that's fair. But even without nature fire spells notwithstanding, these guys have awe 6, which is a lot of awe. They're a little bit fire resistant. They have recuperation. They're disease healers. They reduce unrest. They're inspirational, although they can lead like a decent amount of units if you were to have, one to use them that way. But they plug nature into your communions.
Yeah, that's huge.
This is enough to climb nature as well, because from nature 2, I think it's enough, right? Nature 2 gets you up to nature 3, and then this path gets you to nature 4. Is 4 enough to summon?
4 is
Bigger?
enough to summon the Ivy King, and then
Yeah,
Ivy King gets you
up to 5.
is Nature 3, and then you give the 2 boosters to him, and that's Nature 5
Yeah, and then he
for
can
the
make the
um, and then the Nature 5 gives you
the big staff.
um, yeah, Tree Lord staff, and also you can do Tree Lords themselves too, which are I
Yeah,
think Nature 5 themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's puts you right into nature. The only one of the things that can be tricky though is because it is probably going to take a while to come on. Your nature income is probably not going to be awesome unless you happen to take an Asphodel cap or something. Um,
Right. Put up Mother Oak or something.
put up Mother Oak, yeah. Um, Although it's tough it's going to take a long time to put up Mother Oak unless you've been searching your god or something, because this is going to come out. You probably need your god. I think you need your god to cast it, right, or to get some kind of insane random because it's fire astral,
Yeah, well, you can empower,
or
but
you can
it's
or you can empower, but
pain in the butt. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not coming out in a hurry, but once you do get it, you can start. It can start harspexing around if you want to use it that way. It's going to
Yep.
give you all the forged nature items, which is big. But yeah,
You could also get, I think, the worms that walk, which are really, really
Mm,
fun.
yes, I have not had any of those yet. I'm
That's
hoping that I get
thaumaturgy.
some. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nature 5, and they're immortal, so those can be a lot of fun. Plus, they get some randoms um,
Yes.
paths as well.
Yeah. I think are they Thaum 8? I want to say.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Um. Yeah. Those are pretty sweet. Great way to spend some nature gems. Um. But helping take this unit and have it transition into even higher nature, and then the unit itself plugs into your nature communions. Um, it's another one though where I'm like desperately afraid of ever actually using it because it was like 35 gems. Um, like what if it dies?
Well, I'd certainly say once you get your second one, at least you have an expendable one.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got 2 kicking around right now. They also they nicely go ahead and summon your next unique, which is Ladin or Ladan. I'm not sure. Who is a fun big dragon or draken. I guess he doesn't have wings, but he is just a unit, though. Although it might get a magic path if you.
No, you
No,
don't.
nothing. Okay,
Yeah, he looks super tanky,
he's not.
but yeah, he's still just sort of a regular old dude, and he only has miscellaneous slots, I think, if
Yeah,
you empower. So
But
I haven't really seen the benefit of it. It's
yes,
basically like I could do it, but
what's
it's
the
one of
point?
those instead of another Hesperide.
Yeah, he's fear 10, um, which is not nothing if you could find a good way to like keep him
And I think
alive.
each of those fangs is a death poison. Is that right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
So that's a lot of poison.
It is a lot of poison, but more than having him as a unit, I think right. The important part is when he's gone, you start getting apples,
Yeah.
which are a little bit useful. And he's like 15 fire gems,
Yeah.
which is not too much. Um, Hound of Twilight. I know. I think you had you mentioned this, or no, not the Hound of Twilight. It was the other hounds that you
Yeah.
had
Gold and
mentioned to
silver.
me.
Those are in construction.
Yeah, no, it's not forged. Fast. Um, might as well just click on this one, I suppose, while I'm here. But yeah, the dogs of gold and silver. We'll make the Celadon too, and then the bull, which I don't think I particularly care
Yeah.
for,
Bull
but
is even harder to get than any of the rest.
um, yeah. So I guess going in order. So these are the dogs of gold and silver. This is obviously the silver dog,
You
resistant
get
to
yeah
everything.
everything. You get one of each plus protection 25 and inbuilt temper flesh.
Yep, they're also inanimate and mindless.
They're just a tank.
Yes.
But
Now
again,
it's
one bite that's not magical is like not gonna deal the damage. These
right.
guys, if you make like 20 of them and just put them in a line, or you have them on guard commander, then they'll just stand around absorbing damage while the Weaver balls kill everything.
Right. And I don't think they're terribly expensive. It's seven. It's 3.5 gems per dog.
Yeah, but any Weaver can with Earth
Yeah,
can do
they're
it
cheap
for
or
turn
they're
one.
they're low path.
So it's Earth is kind of hard because it's competing with so many things you'd want to forge and gear, or also like making
The
Spartae or
Sparta, yeah.
yeah, Earth elementals. So it's a tough call, but I think that sometimes you just need a front line that's on the battlefield when the battle starts. So
Yes.
they can be good.
Yep. Yep. Um, this is the Celadon. This is a communion slave, but it's immobile. Um, and so you can summon them up to sit in a fort with a lab, but they're not going to do anything else.
Yeah.
But
And same tankiness as the dogs,
yeah,
but
super tanky.
yeah.
But yeah, a little bit niche. You need to have a pretty sort of goofy circumstance.
Very difficult to move them. I think maybe astral travel might be able to move with them, but
Okay, that'd be
that
neat.
would be very expensive way to go about it.
Yes, it's a very expensive way to imitate Pythium.
Yeah,
Um, the Hound of Twilight is kind of a big dog.
he can
Um,
be a big meat bag for holding a line as well. But
Needs
as
some
opposed to the other
protection.
dogs, he has a lot of attacks, which are really
He
good.
does, and they're magic. I think
Magic
they're
is
extra. Yeah, stop the dead. I think they do bonus stuff to undead because he's like a guardian of the underworld or whatever.
yeah, and they have he has fear too, which is really good.
Yeah, Fear 5, Unsurroundable, Spirit Sight, catch all the undead. Definitely wants some help on his defenses though. Good MR, but
So you only get one of these a turn per mage turn,
yeah,
and those Groth Pass are kind of hard to
yes.
use.
What are they? They were like it's like death something.
Earth and yeah, Earth and Death.
Yeah, which you have no way of getting outside of your pretender and empowering.
If you are able to break into Death and you have a lot of Earth gem or Death gems sitting around, you can always do Specters, and that'll be
Mm.
able to get
Mm-hmm.
you Earth Death cross paths sometimes.
Yeah, it's a tough road to hoe to get to a kind of okay summon.
Yeah, but at that point, you probably want Shade Mail, honestly, as
Yeah,
using the mage turns instead of summoning those guys.
yeah, I think that's fair. I think they're just not. you don't really have the good access to make use of them, even if they were potentially worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then we've got this bull, um, which is kind of tanky. 25 protection, 80 hit points, garbage defense. He's resistant to everything, just like the dogs. Has a heat aura.
Now, Phaeacia is not the only one that can summon a bunch of these. These are
No.
sort of the Mediterranean themed nations. I think there's
Yes.
Arco that can summon them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Phlegras can summon them.
Yep.
And so some of the nations that have access to these spells can actually do it. And so be interesting to see them sometimes. But um,
Not for us.
yeah, for Phaeacia, it's hard to get to.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't remember how much they cost.
They're pretty expensive. I think
Yeah, 30.
30. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a Hesperide.
Yep. For sure.
So I don't think that they compare well to a Hesperide. But all right. Well, we just crossed the hour mark here. Any
Yeah. That's a lot.
any final Phaeacia magical thoughts?
No, just Weaver death ball your way to victory.
Yeah. It reminds me of there's no wrong way to eat this Reese's, right? You can have them do a lot of different things, and a lot of those things are going to work out.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of great
And I
ideas.
think I was telling you too is like every single one of those cross paths for Weavers work for something. Even the
Yes.
Astral 2 Air ones, they can just soul slay. They can
Yeah.
just enslave mind. That is perfectly fine.
Wow.
You
That's
want them to do that.
it's in a very yes. It's a good position where you're like, yeah, this mage soul slays, and that's the one we're worried about here.
Yeah, that's their worst possible use.
Yeah, no, I mean the Weaver's got to be like a high. I know that this every once in a while there's the draft picks or like the drafts where you get to pick out units. I would have to think the Weaver is up there.
Yeah, it's one of the S tier picks. I would say for sure.
Yeah. Um, but all right, well, like I said, we are past an hour, so I think we'll go ahead and call here. Thank you so much for joining me for this,
See you later.
and we'll see everybody back in the next video. Have a great day.